So this is going to be a very quick moving screencast. It's what I call a global search setup, where I've got three classes here, listing, lead, and person, that I want to search across in the same search. I want them to come up in the same list, and I want to be able to select them and work with them from that list. It could be 3, could be 10, could be 2. Originally I was going to do a base class and extend these three from the base class. In the base class I was going to have a field called search text and a description, and I was going to basically search that base class, and that would have been a really elegant way to do it. Unfortunately, Wakanda does not yet support storage attributes in extended data classes, so I needed to come up with a workaround, and this is the way that I did it. So I have a data object data class here. This base class essentially is going to work the same way. It's called data object. It has two methods: init data object and remove by related. Init data object initializes a data object when it's created, and remove by related, you send it one of these related items and it will remove the data object. So let's take a look at what's happening. Best place to go is right here. So person. On each of these three I have 3 events that have scripts: on init, on save, and on remove. And I'm going to show you first on init. You'll see I've got some debugger calls here because we're going to walk through it. On init, what it does specifies this .data object. Now if you look back at the model, data object is actually a collection. So when you see the syntax and how I reference it, just remember it's actually a collection. There will only ever be one because that's the way we've designed it, but it is a collection technically. So this .data object .add, and there's the collection. So we're adding it to the collection, and ds.data object .init data object, and we're passing it this person. So that's the function I talked about, and I'm going to show you that function now. So we're essentially assigning the results of this function to the data object collection of a person. So if we go to init data object, what it does, it takes the incoming object, which in this case is a person, creates a timestamp, and then a new data object. And we've selected or created the type, and we're going to get that from the incoming object. So incoming object, get data class, get name. So this is going to automatically fill the type with person, lead, or listing. Created at, modified at, viewed at is all the same time because it's a brand new element. And orphaned equals true. Now the purpose of orphaned is, you'll see down here, in order to get this working, I need to save the data object before we assign it to the person collection, person data object collection. So there's the potential that if we were to create a person, this function gets run, we save a data object, and then the person doesn't get saved. Essentially this data object gets orphaned and has no way of us referencing back, and we basically get bloated with data objects that have no partner, so to speak. Hopefully our code's tight enough that that won't happen, and usually the way I envision it anyhow, I'll be saving immediately after I create one of these objects. But in the event we don't, it's going to start out as orphaned equal to true, so that we can then do some cleanup as we go. Perhaps in the on init we should do a quick search for orphaned and delete them. I haven't implemented that, but that's the purpose of that. So it sets orphan to true, then we do a switch. It's going to go on this type, which we got from up here, from the incoming object, and we're going to find, is it a person, a lead, or a listing? Because what we need to do is we need to know which of these related attributes need to be populated for this particular item that the data object's being created for. So we break it out. If it's a person, data object.person equals the incoming object. If it's a lead, data object.lead listing, and so on. Then we save it, and we return the data object back to the function that we called in the init. So that object we created gets added to the collection of the person. So we create a person, it creates a data object, and assigns to its data object collection this newly created data object. It sounds confusing. Anyhow, hopefully it's easier to understand once we run through it. After that, we'll go to the save. When you save, first thing it does is it checks if it's new. So if this person is new, then data object, the 0 position, because it's a collection, there's only going to be one, so it'll always be the 0 position, orphaned equals false, because now we've saved the person. It does have a partner or a parent, however you want to look at it. We save the data object, and then this is a good point for us. Search text is going to be automated, so maybe we assemble the search text, fill in any other fields. This is the onSave event. And last but not least, the onRemove. That's going to essentially just call the other function, ds.dataObject remove by related. We pass it the current person. It's going to go through and it's going to remove the any data object that is related to this person. So where is that one? Remove by related. Incoming object, which is the person, dot data object dot remove. Just clears everything out that is a data object related to this current person, lead, or listing. So that's all well and good. Let's see if it works. And I haven't tested this or rehearsed, so we'll see what happens. Let's just see what we're starting with here. I'm going to call a ds data object all. See if there's any in there. Nothing. I'm assuming it's the same thing for person. Just make sure. Okay, so we have nothing and no one in here right now. First thing we'll do is let's make a person. So vPerson equals new ds person, and then we're passing it the parameters first name Jerry, last name Barry, and then we're going to save it all in the same line. So when we run this, I get my debugger up, which we put a bunch of debuggers in there for a reason. First thing it hits, as we'd expect, is the onInit. So this is the person onInit. We created a person, so it's going to the right function here. We can step over that. It's going to go into the function where it, oops, I missed that. Let me just abort that. We'll run it again. I hit the wrong button there. So let's run this. Okay, step over, and I meant to hit step into. So now we're in the init data object, incoming object. You'll see is that person, whoops, it's the person that we set up. Okay, so now it's in the onInit, so none of these values have been set yet, but you can trust me, this is the person. So we're going to step over the data object. You'll see that data object, vData object, it now has all the values we would expect. It's type person, orphaned is true, the dates, etc., etc. Now we're going to go through the switch, hit in person just where it should. We're going to assign this data the incoming object, which is a person, to the person related entity on this data object, which you'll see. So person has an entity now, and continue. Okay, so now we're in the onSave. So anyways, it did the save and then it returned the data object. And then you remember back in the original method call, we called save. So now it's immediately going into the onSave. If it's new, which should be a yes, We're setting that to false. So let's just see that. This dot data object 0. And we can see that orphaned is, oh, I've got to fix that. Anyhow, that's not going to work. I don't really care right now. You can figure out why that didn't work. But anyways, we'll keep going. This, so we're going to set that search text. I just put in something, create person search text here, so you can assemble whatever you want. And then done. Now we go to the output, and you'll see. So we did a person all output. We have a person with a data object with count 1. So it assigned a data object to it. Now if we change this to data, oh, I've got it right there. Comment this one out. And let's list all the data objects. There should be one, and it should be assigned to this person. So the last 4 on the ID is, so A234. Oh, we have one that I didn't delete from before. So the most recent one, so we've got a person, and the person is A234, so it's attached to the right person. And I don't know why that's happening, but I'll figure it out later. The concept's still here. So there, we've got one data object, one person. Now if we delete all people, we'll still have this legacy data object, but this one should delete. So let's do that. Person remove, save, debugger's back up. So it's going to do this function. And now let's list all data objects. And the data objects should all be gone, or that one will still be hanging around, but the one that we made, yeah, so it's just down to one data object now. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to clear everything. So this will get rid of everything. I'm going to clear both of those. So we have no people, no data objects. Let's try it with, and I hope this works, I didn't check the code, but let's try it with a lead instead. So lead, and the sales phase is going to be new. And then we're going to list them all. And I'm going to get rid of all those debugs so it can just go through. I don't think I have debug in the lead ones though. So this should just run straight through. Save, run. Oh, I had a legacy lead. Okay, let's do another person. So that's working anyhow. You can see that the last lead made has a data count of 1. And let's make a person. And after that, let's list all the data objects. There should be 2 after this. One for the lead and one for the listing. Or sorry, one for the lead, one for the person, because we're about to make a person. So here's the person. We get all our debuggers again. Okay, so there's 2 data objects. One will be a lead and one will be a person. So let's see, type, lead, person. This one's has a lead that it's attached to. This one has a person it's attached to. And that's it. Sorry about the phone call in there. Obviously not a professional recording, but there's the setup.